Today's topic that I'm going to discuss over here is evaluation, how evaluation will perform. Now, yesterday, Friday's class was cancelled due to some my personal reason. Now I'm sure that there will be no class cancelled. I agree that two classes have been cancelled due to my personal reason. Some personal reason because I was not feeling well at that time. Yeah, I was suffering from viral fever. This is a surety that this will not happen. Okay, all right. So today's topic is the evaluation that includes how to evaluate the product, how to evaluate in the sense how to predetermine pre-established evaluation criteria throughout the research stages, skills and the procedures, how to provide it with the tools for peer and the self-evaluation, how to teachers or how to make the assessment of the extent to which. All right, wait for 5 minutes. Next part that is used is how to evaluate the research procedures. Now the next part is evaluation, that is how to evaluate the product or what are the various drawbacks that we cover up in the evaluation. So teacher evaluates or teacher uses the pre-established evaluation criteria throughout the research stages that will be fulfilled with the research skill, that will be fulfilled with the research material. So teacher uses the pre-established material evaluation criteria that will be used against the skills and procedures, and students are advised or provided with a tool that will be used with the peer and the self-evaluation criteria. Then, and the student directed on the student directed form, where it is established with the use of the variety of the research stages, such intent, skills, and attitudes. So these are used with the delivery report, how we can use or how we can send the evaluation delivery report to the students. And students are also provided with the tools for peers and the self-evaluation. That means they are self-evaluated, they are self doing the activity, whatever activity they are going to do. So they evaluate the assessment of the extent to which the research procedure, research steps will be followed up. So they take, or the students may take. So students may take the part in conferencing with the peers, with the teachers or teacher librarian using the criteria such as the time management, group participation skills and the cooperative learning skills. Then in the advanced level, students individually or with peers identify and evaluate the research steps. What are the various research stages? Research steps that will be concluded, that will be included in the research procedures or the part of the conferencing that is used with the peers, teachers or the non-teacher or the teacher librarian group. The next is the review process. So class select one or two suggestions for improvement to apply to other research activities. That improvement may also reflect on the complete research process, noting the areas of the strength and the ideas for the improvement. And in the same way, students also analyze the teacher's peer and the self-evaluation to identify the strength and the areas for improvement. And students reflect on the complete research process, noting about the specific ideas for transfer to other situations, to other values. That is the review process. Now next part is curriculum links, how we can use, what curriculum should we follow for these elementary program or these guidance. So there are many reference skills or sources for the skill development in the research procedures that we can use or that we can process in different parts and different programs of study. And only a few of these references are included here as example. But these references may be used by a school as a starting point for developing their own curriculum or for developing their own research skills container. That is used as a reference material, that is used as a example, whatever the name that you give. But the main thing is that may be a starting or the starting point that included in the material that will be used in the material. So to develop the research continuum, we use the material, we use the data type that is included in the data type or the data dictionary. And the students will also locate the information using the library skills to choose appropriate resource material for the research, organize the information on a topic using a simple outline, webbing, retrieval charts, and in a final written product, apply the skills of revising and editing by concentrating the content, organization, vocabulary, sentence structure, and the mechanics of writing. So whatever the mechanics, whatever the device that they follow up, so they will be revising out, they will be editing out by concentrating the content. And use a computer database to collect and organize information. Whatever the information that they require, they use that database, that the computer database, to collect and organize that information. And the student will also appreciate the importance of collecting and organizing, how we can collect, how we can organize. So appreciate the whatever the process, whatever the steps that they followed up for the collection and the organizing. Then compare the alternate energy resources, for example, solar, wind, nuclear energy. Gather that information, organize that information, interpret the data, and also infer the effects of use on the environment. And under the development that is used at the time of the printing, Spring. So proposed framework is a language learning model in which the students will also explore, students will also construct, students will also communicate. Then identify the needed information, then identify the relationships, then ask the questions, whatever the question that they require, that ask that questions also for the improvement of the data, for the improvement of the study materials. Then junior and high program of study. So in this there's the locating, selecting, evaluating information, that also important life skills. And the listening is also an active process that involves constructing meaning, that possesses the descriptive elements and the structure that may also affect the meanings, or that may also use with the skipping of the concept, skipping of the statements, or the statement of the concept, we can say. Then effective editing involves revision for the purpose of evaluating ideas and further spring or further shaping of the composition. And students should be able to evaluate the contribution to the group process, whatever the group process that they carried out, so that will be used in the language arts. They will be able to cope up with the observation of the courtesy of the group discussion, contribute to the group, that may be a participation group, and whatever the motto, whatever the information that they find out, so they find the answers to that questions also, for the listening, for reading, and also utilizing the community resources. We can say that this is also used for the oral presentation or the oral communication, that is. Yes, then identify and define the topic, identify the possible sources and location of information, that may be a process skills, compare that information about a topic and turn from two or more sources, categorize them with the information to develop the concepts, that is also a process skills. So one is a participation skills, one is a process skill. Then compare that information about a topic, drawn from two or more sources, categorize the information into the to develop the concepts. Then overall strategy will be followed up for making for the decision making. That includes the skills of researching perspectives, organizing and processing the information, and also the evaluating. Okay, just wait for 2 minutes. In which we are going to study how to locate, select, and then evaluate the material. That may be a writing material, written material frequently required to fulfill one's purpose in reading, that are the most required, or the more required life skills. And listening is also an inactive process. So active process, not a passive process, because we listen, we don't hear. An effective reader is able to select and use a variety of reading strategies. Whatever the strategies they follow, they are appropriate to this purpose or to his purpose. And effective revision involves careful evaluation of the ideas and a further shaping of the composition. Whatever the composition, whatever the shaping material that will be used, that will be used with the careful evaluation of the ideas and a further shaping of the composition. Then students will develop the skills and the techniques in personal decision making and interpersonal relationship. So how to develop the skills, how to develop techniques in the personal decision making and in the interpersonal relationship, that will be taken out in the that will be taken out in the decision part and in the interpersonal relationship. Then our questioning, proposing ideas, gathering data, processing data, and interpreting data are all components of the process skills framework. The students will be expected to demonstrate an ability to classify existing information by examining parts and relationship and to identify and distinguish components, attributes, claims, assumptions or reasons. Whatever the ability, whatever the classification, whatever the existing tools, information that will be carried out, that will be used by examining the parts and the relationship, whatever the part that will be carried out to make the enhancing topic, and also differentiate the components, how one component is different from another component. That the assumptions may be done or the reasons may be done by interpreting the data or information, by judging the reliability or validity of the data or information, identifying the errors, distinguish between the facts and the values, relevant and irrelevant information, identifying the main ideas, attributes and components, relationships and the vectors, identifying the perspectives, detecting the bias and inconsistency in a line of reasoning. Whatever the inconsistency that is developed, so that is the main part. That is, we can say, the main incontingency in case of the personal relationship or the personal reasons. Now these are the various Alberta educational program of study, and which you're going to study about the social studies, science, mathematics, and the language arts. So stage one is the planning. Understand the problem, understand the question problem, and develop a research procedure, how the research procedure will develop. That may be any topic that you take. Then identify the issue, identify the alternatives. In case of mathematics, understand the problem. And in stage 2, information retrieval, social studies is gather and organize the information. And in the science, it is research work. Stage number 3 is information processing. Interpret the information, develop a conclusion or solution, synthesize the data. In case of science, reflect and decide, and mathematics, develop a plan. Then stage number 4 is information sharing. In case of information sharing, in case of social studies, communicate effectively, take the actions, carry out the plan, evaluate the decision and the process, evaluate, look back. That includes the 1990 amendments, that is under the development spring 1990, and teacher preparation, that is done to plan a research activity and integrating the research activities into the curriculum, that will find or that will be interesting for doing the research activities. So how to plan a research activity, that is the first question. Then guidelines and consideration for research activities. And a simple activity research plan. And the simple research activity unit plan. So teachers who are inexperienced in integrating the research activities into their curriculum, that will find this chapter is very useful in their planning. the picture that shows how the planning will be useful. That means teacher preparation will be useful for a class. So planning is a way of caring because it minimizes the errors. And how to be link the pieces of the research skills puzzle together. So careful planning and the judicious use of the common key concepts. That is also one of the key concepts, or that is also one of the part of the data handling, how we can handle the data, decisions and the forms that bring this puzzle closer to the relationship. And many TLM also prepared, that is a TRM, sorry, teacher resource material. For example, it contains suggestions that devotes to the stages of the research. And this chapter also presents ideas for the planning research and a sampling of the curriculum-based suggestions that will put the theory into the practice. And indicate that research activity into the curriculum is also evolutionary. And for teachers who are new to integrating research activity, that begins slowly. Make their commitment positive in teaching methods and the skills. Their commitment to integrating research activities will also increase. Then how do I work with someone else to initiate the research? So the ideal condition for developing a research unit that occurs when team teaching or cooperative planning occurs between a teacher librarian and a teacher or between the teachers. And this description of the cooperative planning has been adapted from the social studies grade 4 to 6. And yes, this is adapted from the science, social science, mathematics, any subject, any main subjects. Then cooperative planning of a unit or mini unit involves a teacher and the teacher librarian and uses the library as a primary resource. And the first step is to set out the objectives for the unit and plan the activities with the teacher librarian methods. Use of the library skill that should also be integrated into the plan. Extra resource person that also allows for the variation in the group size. Example, that may be a whole group, that there are 2 teaching groups, small groups. An example is also given in which the students are expected to learn about the similarities and the differences between the Alberta and the Cuban. That shows some of the possibilities for the cooperative planning also, and where the students are listed out with the similarities and differences between the Alberta and the Cuban. That helps to circulate to assist the students. And as a class, whole class, then as a class, that means the whole class will instate or come up with the composite list. This is in time group into the categories such as the geography, resources, occupation, leisure activities, language, and the customs. And the whole chart of these categories is made up by the teachers or the teacher librarian during the discussion. And they reproduce it in their notebooks. And teacher and the teacher librarian, that may be a team teaching, explains to students that they will complete the chart as they work together or work through the 4 stations. And grouping is done within the 4 to or 3 to 5 students that proceed to conditions where they gather the information for their charts. They circulate that, they use them to circulate the material, help them to circulate, and also help the people in viewing the station, listening station, interviewing station, and the reading station. And there should be an effective communication planning or skills that must be effective skills must be developed for the mini unit or the unit with the colleague or the team of the teachers that should be approached in the same manner as with the teacher librarian. And except that 2 or more classes are now involved. And in case of the team planning approach, each teacher brings special talent that can be used. And that also divides the labor and also lighten the workload. And after the unit planning is complete, each teacher also adapts the unit to the needs of the students, whatever the need that they carry out. And this approach is an effective beginning to the research activities or leave the skills isn't introduced or integrating them within the classroom activity. For example, when we are studying about the student that's studying about the dinosaur, that should be asked to locate the various type of resources that may be print resources, non-print resources, human resources. that are available in their school, community, and in that scenario, students must be given instructions in how to create, how to locate different types of resources. That resources should be gathered or could be gathered ahead of time, and also students could be taught information processing skills or another aspect of the research criteria. That research may be a classroom activity research, that research may be a research activity. So step number 1 is curriculum objectives, step number 2 is students' needs, step number 3 is resources, step number 4 is research skills, then at last there is a implementation. Yeah, these are the various stages that should be developed in advance. How it is determine the order in which the unit and the research activity should be taught. What are the various research skills that will be stressed? What are the various activities? Where the activity will happen, will occur? Introduce the activity to the class as an integrated part of the curriculum or the classroom studies. Monitor the students' work as they apply related research skills. Evaluate them. Decide on them on the basis of the improving, on the method of improving the objective.